I woke up to my hammock swinging gently in the wind. I would step out onto the leafy ground of the forest, throw on some clothes, and brush my teeth using a water bottle. I would grab my backpack, walk out of the woods, and about a mile up the street, through the front doors of this high school, into my first period class. Growing up, I was always an extroverted kid. I was an avid talker both in and out of the classroom. I was the organizer of get-togethers and a 3-season athlete. I was running outdoor track, played ice hockey in the winters, and my junior and senior year joined the football team. I played trumpet in the jazz band for a bit, and I got good grades in most of my classes. And I was known as a social guy in high school. To the outside viewer, my life was great. But on the inside, I was really struggling with a lot in my life. You see, despite being involved in all these groups, I lacked that feeling of belonging, and I was feeling terribly alone. For years at home, my parents and I had disagreed over what felt like everything. Small disagreements would turn into huge fights that left me feeling broken. Then, one day in my sophomore year, I got invited to drink with an upperclassman girl, and so I said yes. With that first drink, all of my sadness and anxiety melted away. I felt wanted and accepted by that person. After saying goodbye at the end of the night, I went home and was met by angry parents. The night ended with my mother telling me she was calling the cops. As I knelt on the ground in front of my parents, tears and snot covering my face, cleaning up the puke I had just released all over their floor. Now, the next day, despite being upset and sick, the idea that stuck with me was that people really liked me when I was drunk. And so for the next year, arguments grew in extremity with my parents, as did my drinking. Until one day, after an argument, I left home, and I didn't return. For the rest of my high school career, I lived on friends' couches, with girlfriends, and yes, eventually in a hammock up the street about a mile from here. Now, at the time, I was acting like I was okay with the whole situation. I rarely talked about how I truly felt, and I was putting on a whole facade. I was the comedian, the athlete, or the flirt even. So much so that when I graduated my senior year, it was with the yearbook title, Class Flirt. Now, I can only imagine my pickup lines must have been something along the lines of, "Hey, baby, so do you want to come back to my hammock?" Before explaining how cool and interesting camping was, because you could roast marshmallows whenever you wanted, or see the sunrise every day. Ridiculous. Following high school, I decided to go to North Carolina State University. Less so for the academics, and more so with the hope that I could just leave all my problems behind here in Maine. And so I moved out there for my fresh start. My actions and my drinking continued. I tried anything to feel happy, and nothing worked. I filled my time working at a paper plant, and I tried to find similar people, but I just couldn't. And it was only a semester before I was back to Maine, where I started working an overnight shift at a warehouse. And this would be the trend of my life for the next 3 years. I would find some tough, good-paying job, like paving, overnight shifts, or even maintenance at the top of radio towers. And this would pay for my drinking and my other bills. And I just continued plodding through life, simply not caring what my future held or who or what I was becoming. Then, 2 summers ago, my urine started turning black, a key sign to the start of kidney failure. Now, at the time, I came up with every excuse I could. It must be dehydration, I thought. And so, for about 2 weeks, I would drink around 2 gallons of water a day, and still no change. Well, it must be an STD, I hoped. But nope. Those results came back negative too. Now, people, if you ever get to a point in your life where you hope that you have an STD, that is a sign to get some help, please. However, I simply refuse to believe that it could be my drinking because I was only 21. Every day I woke up, I would take a chug from that whiskey bottle that lived on my bedside table. I would repeat this action periodically throughout the day, right before I passed out each night, and then again every morning at 2 a.m., when my body would wake up going through withdrawals. I was drinking around a half gallon of cheap whiskey every single day. I was extremely physically and emotionally addicted. The last 6 months of my drinking, I was so empty, so ready to give up, so filled with despair. I rarely left my apartment, and if I did, it was only for more liquor or cigarettes. On the rare occasion I could actually get a ride to the grocery store, I was stealing the majority of my food because I was spending all my money on booze. I simply saw no future for myself, and I wanted to die. Or I needed something in my life to change. And so, for the first time in my life, I reached out for help and reached out to my mother. My parents, who had always loved me, were not angry with me. They opened their arms to me, in fact, and 2 weeks later, I was into a rehabilitation program. It was here that I detoxed and stayed for 107 days. And it was here that I chose for that life I had to die and for my new one to begin. You see, for the first time in my life, I got to actually work on bettering myself as a human being. I examined my actions and my character defects, and then I actually worked on changing those things about myself. I learned simple things, like how to communicate my feelings to others, and how to build relationship with other men sober. Following rehab, I moved into a sober living house, and since then, I have moved into an apartment with another member in the sober community. Today, I am 23 years old, and I have the privilege of being able to create myself for the very first time. I am discovering things that I enjoy doing that don't involve drinking. And it turns out a few of those things are bowling, baking, gardening, and boxing. I'm a manager at Big Sky Bread Bakery in Portland, and I am a student at USM working on finishing my degree in psychology and criminology. I am extremely proud of who I am today, and I have worked extremely hard to get here. I am choosing to live every day to its fullest. I'm going to keep facing my fears, keep working hard, and finding those small things in life that make me happy. Thank you.